Sometimes I wonder if I don't work in a casino, but on a stage. Only here, the stage is circular, the lights are soft and yellow, and the actors are just regular folks with tired eyes and trembling hands. They don't play for glory. They play because real life has cornered them. And my job? I'm just the croupier, the man who spins the wheel and watches someone's life quietly unravel. My name's Michael. I've worked for 9 years as a night shift dealer at one of the older casinos in Las Vegas. Not one of the flashy ones with water fountains and fireworks, the kind you see on postcards. No, mine's tucked a little off the strip. It smells like burnt coffee and old money. The carpets creak when you walk, and the chandeliers have been dusty since the 80s. We don't draw tourists. We draw the people who already know why they're here. Or think they do. I work from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Graveyard shift. And that's when the real players come out. The ones not chasing thrills, but silence. The ones who don't gamble for fun, they gamble to disappear. When you deal long enough, you stop seeing chips. You start seeing stories. People fall into patterns. There are the first-timers, wide-eyed and drunk on neon, screaming when they win $100. There are the pros, tight-lipped, calculating, never blinking. Then there are the regulars, the ones who never really win and don't care. They just want the wheel to keep spinning. They want the lights, the rhythm, the lull. They're not playing to win. They're playing to forget. That's who Danny was. He showed up one Friday in October. I barely noticed him at first. Just another guy in work boots and a flannel shirt, hands stained with engine grease, ball cap with a Ford logo. He sat at table 4, ordered a double whiskey and Coke, laid down $20 on even, lost, another 20 on black, lost again, shrugged, stayed. Next night, he was back. Same time, same drink, same table, same story. After a week, I started watching him closer. There was a weight on him. Not the nervous jitter of someone chasing luck or the cold stare of a card shark. It was something quieter, something burned out. He wasn't betting to win. He was betting to stop thinking. For a long time, we didn't speak. Just nodded. I'd deal, he'd drink, lose, drink more. But after a few weeks, he broke the silence. You always work nights? Yeah, I said, watching the ball spin. I like the night. Fewer tourists. More truth. He gave a crooked smile. The kind of smile you give when you've stopped waiting for good news. Truth, he said. That's rich. I guess I'm here for the same reason. Looking for something honest. So far I'm losing. From that point on, we started talking more. Bit by bit. He told me his name was Danny. He worked as a mechanic at a shop just outside town. Married. 2 kids, boy and a girl. His wife's name was Cindy. He talked about her like someone talks about a person they once loved. Like a memory he was still trying to keep alive. Home's quiet, he said once. Not the good kind. We don't fight. We just don't speak. He'd tell me about how they used to take the kids camping, how Cindy used to sing along to the radio in the kitchen, how Sunday mornings were pancakes and cartoons. And now? Now it was silence. Too heavy to lift. Some nights, closer to midnight, Cindy would show up. I knew it was her the second she walked in. She had those eyes, tired, still hopeful. She'd stand near the edge of the pit, coat wrapped tight around her, waiting. Sometimes she'd whisper, "Danny, please. Come home." Sometimes he'd go with her. Sometimes he'd stay. Either way, the next night, he was always back. I watched him like you watch a man trying to fix a machine with no parts left. Like he was searching for one last bolt to make it all run again. But night after night, the wheel kept spinning, and the pieces never came. His bets were never big. 20 here, 50 there. If he won 100, he'd laugh like it was payday. Maybe I'll get the kid a new pair of sneakers, he'd say. Or grab a steak for once. But he never walked out with chips. He never quit while ahead. He'd stay until he lost it all. One night, I asked him, "Why do you keep coming back?" He didn't answer right away. Just watch the ball roll. Because here, I'm nobody. Not a dad. Not a husband. Not the guy who forgot to take the trash out or fix the sink. I'm just Danny at the table. That's all. I didn't know what to say, so I said nothing. He finished his drink. Threw down a bet. Read. Lost. Shrugged again. Stayed. And then, one night, everything changed. The more he came, the more he became part of the furniture. Table 4 was his table. The leg had a wobble that only he knew how to ignore. The stool squeaked differently under him. The bartenders knew his drink. The pit bosses stopped watching him. He wasn't a player anymore. He was part of the ecosystem. A familiar ghost. And the more I watched him, the more I realized something. He wasn't chasing money. He was chasing space. A pause. A moment in the night when nothing else asked anything of him. No expectations, no failures. Just the rhythm of the wheel and the hush of felt on chips. He started bringing a small leather notebook with him. Worn, stitched by hand. Inside were pages filled with numbers, engine specs, diagrams of car parts, maybe plans for a garage of his own. I asked him once what it was. Just old dreams, he said. Ones I didn't cash in on time. We talked more over the months. He told me about his son, how the kid wanted to be a chef. Not a mechanic, not a ball player, a chef. His daughter played softball, hated spiders, slept with a nightlight even though she was 10. Cindy had started working part-time again. Less time together, more space between. She doesn't yell anymore, he said once. Which almost makes it worse. The yelling, at least that meant she still cared. He never said, "I'm a bad husband." He just spoke like someone watching a house flood in slow motion from the porch, holding a towel. Most nights, he'd lose everything he brought. Sometimes $50. Sometimes 200. Sometimes what had to be an entire paycheck. But he never slammed a fist or cursed the dealer. He just sat, took a sip, rolled another chip forward. "Why do you keep playing?" I asked him again one night. He stared at the wheel. "Because here, at least something depends on me. At home, I already lost the game. Here, I still get to try." It was heartbreaking, because I knew he believed it. And part of me believed it too. Cindy stopped coming. First, she came every few nights. Then once a week. Then, never. I noticed. But Danny never mentioned it. Never said she left. Never said, "It's over." Just sipped his drink, placed his bets, and carried her absence like a jacket he didn't take off anymore. Sometimes he won small pots. Enough for groceries. Maybe a pair of shoes. He'd grin and say, "Guess the kids eat name brand cereal this week." But it always went back in. Always. And he kept returning. Night after night. Month after month. For almost 2 years straight. And then, one night, everything changed. It was near closing time, maybe 4:45 a.m. on a Friday. I was counting chips when I saw him walk in, with a suitcase. A real one. Rolling wheels. Leather handle. Not some beat-up gym bag. He was in a leather jacket, looked like he hadn't slept. But his eyes? Sharp. He walked right up to table 4. Sat down. Ordered bourbon. "No Coke." "You sure?" I asked, quietly. He nodded. Then dropped $500 on the felt. That first bet? He won. Then another. Then again. Then he bet on 0. The odds? 35-1. The ball spun. Slowed. Clinked. 0. Someone behind him gasped. He didn't flinch. Just leaned back. "Guess I'm hot tonight," he said. In less than an hour, he turned 500 into over $1 million. I stood frozen. Everyone did. But Danny? He just exhaled. Not in shock. Not in celebration. Like something inside him had confirmed the world was finally giving back what it owed. He smiled. Not wildly. Not manically. But softly. "Guess it's time to go home." He stood. Picked up his suitcase. Turned. And walked out. No hugs. No high fives. Just gone. And for the next week, nothing. Then a month. He vanished. And I started to hope, maybe this time, he really was gone for good. Maybe he got out. Maybe he made it. Maybe this was the end of his story. But in the pit of my stomach, I already knew better. Almost 3 months after he disappeared, Danny came back. I was mid-shift, halfway through my second stale coffee, when I saw him walk through the doors, and for a second, I didn't recognize him. The posture was familiar, the stride too. But everything else? Different. He was wearing a suit. A nice one. Gray, tailored, crisp white shirt, polished shoes. His hair was cut, slicked back with some kind of shine. He smelled like designer cologne. And he wasn't alone. She was tall, blonde, early 20s. Red dress, high heels, laugh loud enough to echo. She clung to his arm like he was made of gold. I blinked, tried to hide the shock. He grinned when he saw me. "Michael," he said, arms open like I was a long-lost friend. "Guess who's a millionaire now?" He dropped a stack of chips onto the table like they were nothing. Ordered 20-year-old Glenfiddich, no ice. For her, champagne. The expensive kind. And then he sat. Same stool. Same position. Same look in his eyes. Except this time, something was off. He wasn't glowing. He wasn't settled. He was wired. Buzzing. Like he couldn't sit still under his own skin. He started telling me everything. They'd been to Malibu, then Miami. Yachts, parties, shopping sprees. He rented a house with a pool that overlooked the strip, bought a Shelby GT 500 in cash, booked a trip to Paris. He laughed like it all meant something, like he'd finally found the door he'd been pounding on for years. "Oh, and Cindy?" he said, waving a hand. "She kept the old place. Let her have it. The kids are with her. It's fine. I earned this." He kept saying that. "I earned this." But every time he said it, his eyes dropped to the chips in front of him. And then he started to play. That night, he lost about 50 grand. Didn't blink. "Doesn't matter," he said, pouring another drink. "I'll win it back tomorrow." And he came back. Again and again. Night after night. Always a new girl on his arm. Always a new designer jacket. Always the same table. The same drink. The same bets. But now, the wins were smaller. The losses bigger. I watched it unfold. He'd come in drunker. Stay later. Bet wilder. Some nights he'd win, sure. But he never left ahead. He never wanted to leave ahead. He wanted to feel the rush again. The miracle. The chaos. That one moment when the world felt like it owed him something. He started selling things. First, the yacht was too expensive to maintain. Then the house was too big. Then the Shelby didn't really fit in the garage. The girls? They came and went. Each one younger, louder, less interested in him and more in the chips on the table. One night, he showed up alone. Rumpled shirt. No jacket. Shadows under his eyes like he hadn't slept in days. "Everyone leaves," he muttered, mostly to himself. "Soon as the money gets tight." He stared at the wheel. "I thought maybe one would stay," he added. "Just one." That was the night I knew. He wasn't playing to win anymore. He was playing because it was all he had left. And it only got worse. He started yelling at dealers, slamming drinks, cursing at the wheel when it didn't land in his favor. Security got called twice. But he always came back. Even when he started showing up in jeans and a stained t-shirt, smelling like old sweat and regret, he came back. Always table 4. Always chasing something that was long gone. Then, one night, he bet everything he had on 0. Just like the night he won it all. I watched the ball spin. I watched his hands tighten on the edge of the table. And I watched when it landed, on black. He didn't move. Just sat there. No curse. No punch. No scream. Just silence. Then he stood. Nodded to me. "Guess that's it, Mike." And he walked away. No suitcase this time. No girl. No second chance. Just a man who bid his miracle and lost it twice. He came back again. But this time, it wasn't in a suit. He wore the same flannel shirt from the first night I met him. Torn jeans. Work boots that had seen better years. And instead of perfume and bright-eyed girls, he smelled like gas station coffee and loneliness. He sat at table 4. Same seat. Like always. He ordered a cheap whiskey. No name. No garnish. Just poured and gone. "Hey, Mike," he said with a crooked grin. "Miss me?" His voice was dry, like wind scraping over gravel. I nodded slowly, not sure what to say. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a $10 bill. Smoothing it on the felt, he placed it on red. "Last of it," he said, without a hint of drama. The ball spun. Red 21. He lost. He didn't blink. Just nodded. Figures. I watched him closely. Something was different now, not just in how he looked, but how he sat. His shoulders had collapsed inward, like they couldn't hold the weight anymore. His eyes didn't scan the room. They didn't glow. They just floated. "I sold the Mustang," he said after a while. "Got a quarter of what I paid for it." He chuckled once, but it wasn't laughter. It was a sound that should have meant something but didn't. "And the girls." He waved vaguely at the air. "Poof. All gone. One of them even called me just another loser with a lucky streak. She wasn't wrong. I wanted to say something, anything, but nothing would have helped." "Cindy filed the papers," he said, quieter now. "Signed, sealed, done. House is hers now. Kids, haven't heard from them. My son sent me a text, once. Asked if I really had a Shelby. I said yes." He looked down at his drink. He wrote back, "Too bad you didn't drive it to my baseball game like you promised." He downed the whiskey in one long pull. I didn't answer. Silence settled between us. Not the kind that feels peaceful, the kind that says the words are gone, and there's nothing left but memory. "Funny thing," he said. "I don't even regret it." He set the empty glass down gently. Not because it was worth it. Just because there's nothing to regret when you've got nothing left. I didn't argue. I knew better. After a minute, he pushed away from the table and stood. "You'll still be here tomorrow?" "Always," I said. He smiled. It was faint, crooked, broken. Good. Someone's gotta remember. And he left. No chips. No cash. No goodbye. Just gone. The next time I saw him, he wasn't inside the casino. He was sitting on the back steps behind the building, wrapped in a thin jacket, hands in his pockets, watching the sun come up over the empty parking lot. I stepped outside, still in uniform. He nodded at me. "Hey, Mike." "Cold morning," I said. "Yeah," he replied. "But not the worst one I've had." We stood there for a while, not saying much, just listening to the city wake up. Then he said, "I think I'm leaving town. North, maybe. Montana. Somewhere quiet." He didn't ask for money. Didn't ask for help. He just said it. I nodded. "If you come back, I'll be here." He smiled again. "You always are." And then he walked off. No car. No luggage. No noise. Just the sound of boots on pavement, fading into morning. A few weeks later, a man showed up in the casino asking for me. His name was Roy. "I knew Danny," he said. My heart stopped. Roy told me Danny had spent a few months living in a trailer park up in Nevada. Fixed engines for cash. Slept in a beat-up Chevy. Ate from vending machines and gas stations. Said little. Smiled even less. "But he talked about you," Roy said. "Called you the last real one." Then Roy handed me a folded piece of paper. It was worn, greasy in the corners. Smelled like engine oil. On it, in shaky handwriting, was this: "To Michael from Vegas. You were the only one who saw me. I'm sorry I didn't stay human. Sorry I didn't come back. Hope you're still where the wheel spins at night. If you are, don't spin for me. I already made my bet." I still keep that note. And under table 4, tucked beneath the green felt, there's a small wooden chip with a single letter burned into it. D. No one else knows it's there. But I do. And when the ball spins just right, I swear I hear it click. Like he's still here. Just watching. Months passed. The casino kept breathing. People kept losing. The chips still clacked against the felt like metronomes for fading dreams. And life, as always, pretended like it didn't notice who was missing. But I noticed. I always noticed. Danny was gone, but not forgotten. Not here. Not at table 4. The stool was still there, creaky and crooked, same as ever. But the space felt colder now. Quieter. Every once in a while, someone would sit there, some new guy, same hollow eyes, same stiff shoulders. And I'd wonder, is this how it starts again? One morning, at the end of a long shift, I stepped outside into the pale Vegas dawn. There was no one around, just the sound of garbage trucks and early birds. I lit a cigarette, one of the few habits I hadn't shaken. That's when I saw a man standing near the back alley, arms crossed, waiting. He walked up to me slowly. "Michael." I nodded, wary. "I'm Roy." I knew Danny. My stomach dropped. He didn't waste time. He lived up in a trailer park near Elko. Fixed trucks. Stayed to himself. Slept in a Chevy he couldn't afford to register. Folks liked him, but no one really knew him. Except maybe me. He talked sometimes, mostly about you. He handed me a folded note. Dirty. Soft at the creases. The ink was smudged, but the words were still legible. "Mike, you were the last person who saw me as a man, not a bet. I'm sorry I never came back. I wanted to. But sometimes, you leave a place and realize you left yourself behind in it. If you're still spinning that wheel, don't spin for me. I'm done playing. D." I didn't say anything. Roy nodded. They found him on the porch. Early morning. No struggle. Just gone. I stood there for a long time after he left, holding that paper like it might burn. Like it already had. I never told anyone at the casino. Not the pit bosses. Not the bartenders. Not even security. Some people leave stories behind. Danny left silence. But I couldn't let it go. So I did something small. One night, after close, I pried up a corner of the felt at table 4 and slid a small wooden token underneath it. A poker chip I burned myself. Just a letter. D. Now, every time the wheel spins and the ball clacks across the slots, I listen. And sometimes, just sometimes, I swear I hear one extra sound. A soft click beneath the table. A memory. A ghost. People like to believe in second chances. In redemption. But sometimes, there's no dramatic ending. No final jackpot. No last-minute comeback. Just a man. A wheel. And a note. A few weeks later, I saw Cindy. She came into the restaurant connected to the casino, not the gaming floor. She didn't see me. She was with a teenager, a boy about 15, maybe 16. Tall, skinny, same dark eyes. He was wearing a faded Ford t-shirt. I didn't move. didn't speak. But when they left, the boy looked over his shoulder and caught my eye. He paused, just a beat, then smiled. Small, quiet, like a secret passed between strangers. And I swear, for that 1 second, Danny was there. In that smile, in that kid's face, in the way memories don't fade, they just shift. I never talk about Danny. Not to customers, not to friends. But some nights, when I'm spinning the wheel and the casino falls into that rare hush, no yelling, no laughing, just the hum of the lights, I let myself remember. Not the night he won, not the nights he lost, but the moment he said, "You'll still be here, right?" And I told him yes, because I am. Still here, still spinning, still waiting. There's an unspoken rule in every casino. You won't find it on the walls. You won't hear a dealer say it aloud. But once you've worked long enough behind the felt, you feel it in your bones. The house doesn't just win. The house waits. It waits for the moment you think you're safe. It waits for you to smile again. It waits until you believe you've beaten the system. Then it reminds you, you didn't. Danny didn't lose because he gambled. He lost because he thought the win would save him. And in a way, it did, just not for long. When he hit that million, I saw it in his face. Not joy, not pride, just disbelief. Like someone who's been crawling through a desert, finds a glass of water, and gulps it down so fast he forgets to breathe. I wonder what would have happened if he walked away that night, took the money, drove home, kissed his wife, took his kid to practice, bought a grill, laughed again, fixed the porch, paid the mortgage. But that's not what happened. Because the truth is, some people don't want the win. They want the chance. They're not chasing dollars. They're chasing moments that feel like control. Moments when the universe listens and answers back. Here. You mattered today. Danny mattered. And he still does. I still work at the same table. Table 4. Still call out bets in the same voice. Still watch the ball spin. Still see the patterns. I don't say his name anymore. But I think it every night. Especially when someone sits in that chair, wearing old boots, ordering a cheap drink, placing $20 like it's the last bridge they've got left. And when they do, I look them in the eye. Not long. Not hard. Just enough. Enough to say, you can leave. Right now. You can still walk away. They never do. But I say it anyway. Because maybe, one night, one of them will. And that will be Danny's real legacy. Not the chip I burned and buried under the felt. Not the note I keep in my locker. Not the stories I never tell. But a whisper. A chance passed from one broken soul to another. I used to think stories like his were rare. That you had to go through something big, loud, dramatic. But now, I think these stories are everywhere. They happen quietly. Behind slot machines. In gas station parking lots. In marriages that don't scream, but just stop speaking. In men who smile too wide when they lose. And in the silence that follows them home. Sometimes I still dream about him. Not in a haunting way, but in a way that reminds me he's not really gone. In the dream, the casino's empty. The lights are low. The air hums. And Danny walks up to the table, sets down a single chip, and says, "Don't spin for me, Mike. Just keep the wheel warm." I wake up before the ball lands. Every time. And you know what? That's okay. Some stories don't need a final spin. Some bets never settle. They just echo.